Now we've got law number 6 coming up this morning. Are you ready for it? Yes. Law number 6. Evil comes to harvest on its own. You don't have to take care of evil. It'll come up by itself. Yeah. We reap the full harvest of good only if we persevere.
All right.
Now, I think most of us have been Christians long enough to know that the problem with the average disciple of Christ is not our lack of knowledge. We know a lot. But we don't always apply the truth that we already know. We carry around in our Bibles enough facts that we never seem to somehow integrate into our daily living. I read this illustration many years ago. It was a large truck that was parked on the highway. The driver was standing by the truck, and he was looking at the front wheel that was already removed. A preacher stopped by to ask if he could offer any assistance. And the driver said, well, I've already got help coming, but I really appreciate you very, very much. The wheel bearing had burned out. And as the preacher drove off, he noticed on the side of the truck a sign that said Standard Oil Lubricants Division. And you're driving a truck that is a lubricant division of Standard Oil, and your wheel bearing has burned out for lack of grease. Church, that's like having a Bible and not knowing how to use it. And you see, the important fact here is that a farmer who labors needs to know that while he's farming, he's going to be partaker of that which grows in his garden. Can you imagine growing something in your garden and not eating some of it yourself? This is not selfishness. This is just downright simple survival. This brings this other aspect of the harvest into full view. In verse 9 of Galatians chapter 6, and let us not be weary. Let us not grow weary in well-doing, for in due season, at the proper time, the NIV says, we will reap if we do not faint. Now remember, evil grows up all by itself. You don't have to even plant it, it's going to grow up. But now if you want the full harvest of the good, you have to persevere. Thorn and briar seeds always grow. They have the ability somehow, even without nurturing, to come up. Everyone who tills the ground has some idea with a vegetable garden that you can't plant it and then forget about it. If you do, you're not going to have anything to harvest. Now we want to look at this morning in a spiritual aspect. Once evil is sown, it comes to fruition by itself. But the good will never produce an abundant harvest unless we give it constant attention. The only way we will enjoy the blessings of the full harvest of being a Christian is to persevere and not faint. I remember one year, many years ago, it had to have been, maybe 30 years ago, we had a 10K in Long Island called the Harvet 10K, and Moses Johnson and I, he was my assistant minister, we did this 10K. And the night before I said, Claudine, I think I want to drive through this course. I think I better drive through. And I drove through the course, and I said, oh man, there's a hill here. It wasn't just a hill, it was a mountain. And I said, I need to get ready for this hill. So the next day for the race, I paced myself and got to the finish line. And when I got to the finish line, Claudine was there and Carrie Johnson was there. And Carrie said, well, Howard, where's Moses? Where's Moses? I said, I don't know. I didn't see Moses. Moses fell out on Cardiac Hill because he had no idea how steep that hill was. Church, a lot of Christians are going to fall out before they get to the finish line. You need to know that the race is not to the swift. Nobody said you have to come in first place. The battle is not to the strong. You don't have to have bulging muscles, but you gotta stay in it until you get to the end. Don't faint, but keep on persevering. We live in tough times. We get discouraged sometimes. We get fed up sometimes. We get tired sometimes. But you can only stay on the sideline for a short period of time. You got to get back in the race.